All right, guys, so welcome to another episode on the Fish Bluewater channel, and I am fired up about what we got going on today. Sitting right here at Lindgren-Pitman, Pompano Beach, Florida, 47-year legendary manufacturer in the fishing industry. Manufacturer of amazing products used by fishermen all around the globe. This obviously, in modern times is certainly one of the most popular electric reels, if not the most popular electric reel on the market. And the reason I'm here is because I actually have, I'm an owner of the SV-1200. This is the new SV variable speed LP-1200 reel. And I have one on its way, if it's not already there, to RJ Boyle Studios in Lighthouse Point. And I am excited to go out and put this bad boy to the test. But before we do that, intro my man on the right, Mr. Tim Pickett. How long you been working here at LP, Tim?
I've been here almost 14 years.
14 years. I knew it was 10 plus.
Yep.
So Tim, Carol, the whole Lindgren family was kind enough to allow us to come through their front doors and take you on a tour of how the most brilliant electric reel in the fishing market today is engineered. We're then going to take you over to the shop. We're going to get that thing rigged up. We're going to get ready to fish. And I'm not a great fisherman, but hopefully I'll be able to put this thing to the test and catch some great fish on the backside of this video. So, Tim, what are we in store for here today at the factory?
So we're going to take you from the ground up, kind of how from raw material to how we get to this finished product here. We manufacture this reel almost entirely in-house. So I'll take you through the shop. Beautiful new CNC, upgraded CNC shop that we've kind of progressed and as we've grown with these electric reel products and things like that, we've kind of had to step up our game in terms of manufacturing wise. We're the state-of-the-art manufacturing facility, and we build this reel from the ground up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So all I can tell you is, if you like to understand how you get from point A to point B, absolutely do not hit that fast forward button. We are about to take you on an engineering tour of this reel that is going to blow your mind. Stay tuned. So you may remember an old show called How It's Made. It's one of my favorite shows. I love seeing how things come from nothing to the final product. Tim, I feel like I'm about to experience a Fish Bluewater episode of How It's Made. So here we go. How do you get from this heavy chunk of aluminum to this amazing masterpiece of an electric reel, most amazing electric reel on the market? How do you get from there to here? This guy's about to tell you.
So there's a lot of steps in between, obviously, but we have this raw piece of material, and to start out, this is a piece of billet aluminum. To start out, we machine with several CNC machines. It's all computer controlled and programmed here at LP. We do all of our own programming. So if you see inside of here, this is that big chunk of aluminum Jamie was just holding up, and it's been machined to a rough outline of our electric reel product, which you'll see down the way here. But this is kind of the first step, where we remove about 70% of that piece of aluminum and whittle it into the rough shape of the electric reel. Then we further machine it down the way here.
So, I'm sure we're going to show you some great wide shots of this whole production line behind me, but out of curiosity, Tim, so is this sequential in nature? Are we standing in front of step one and then it moves through, or how do the systems
Kind of, you know, and these actually go to the end of the line,
Okay.
but in between we have a bunch of the other parts that we make here, because we make all of our CNC milled parts we make in-house. So from heat sinks, anti-reverse dogs, consoles, some of the gears. Alex is actually machining some of the gears right now. So almost all the stuff that we make that goes into this reel are made right here. We're not reliant on a lot of vendors and things, and so, you know, you'll see as we go through here a lot of our parts that are very recognizable. Some of them that probably aren't because you haven't been on the inside of them.
Sure.
But most of what we have goes into this electric reels, comes out of this room here.
So this is the inside housing of the reel that ultimately accepts the spool?
Yeah,
you see it over here?
Yeah, this is, if you're looking at this is the left-hand side here.
Okay.
The cover we make on the machine over here out of another piece. So this is where all the gears are housed and all the shafts are attached and bearing races and things like that.
I have one last question before we move on to the next phase. Do you like to have like an engineering degree to run this thing? Because
I have an engineering degree and I can't run it.
The number of buttons and mistakes that seem like could be made right here are infinite.
We have some very specialized guys that have been in this business for a long time. Bob and Adi and Charlie. So, but it does take very specialized guys, and we have two very good guys, you know, from the modeling standpoint and from the machine setup and everything standpoint that.
You get what you pay for.
Yep. They're very, you know, very experienced, very good guys, and you know we're blessed to have them all in house. So.
All right.
Yep.
Take me to the next stop.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. So moving right along, here we are at the next chunk of aluminum that I think ultimately becomes this guy and what you see over here. So what do we got?
So that's exactly right. So we start off as this chunk that's extruded. It's extruded into a rough shape of what the cross section of this console looks like, and it's actually it's a two-step process. But we have these palletized pieces over here. That'll be loaded up with new blanks, and so every time we open this machine out, we take each one of these pallets on the rotary table that's inside the machine out, load it with new parts, flip the parts over, and so every time we open the door on this machine, four finished consoles come out. So this is what a finished one looks like. It'll look a little bit more recognizable. You can see it here. This is where the variable speed dial goes, the 3 buttons, the display. Obviously it hasn't been anodized yet. You can see the inside. So this would be the inside of that. So we hollow all of this out. We also machine the O-ring groove, so everything's completely sealed.
So what happens with the waste? As like you said, 70% of that block gets milled out. What happens with the waste?
So it all comes on this. We have a chip conveyor in these machines, and they all come into a barrel here, and we sell it as scrap. It gets recycled into new material. So we don't throw it in the trash.
So there is essentially really no waste, even with the manufacturing side of this
Not
process.
at all. So we take all of it. It doesn't go in the trash. It all gets picked up by a scrap guy, and we recycle all of it.
So I'm fascinated by what's happening behind me, like jet water infusing over top of it. Like, how long will this particular machine run before completion of this phase of the process?
So it's about 2.5 hours. So every 2.5 hours we open it up and we remove 4 completed parts. We limit our downtime by having these pallets that go on this rotary in here all loaded up. So they get loaded up, and you can see the arm spinning there. So it goes to a different station, and then it can, you know, so it's another axis that it's able to control. And actually the water jets that you see coming in there are just coolant and chip removal. So it's being cut with one of these tools up here.
Okay.
So there's an end mill or a drill, you know, there's probably 20 tools that complete the cycle with all of this. And the water, it's a water coolant mixture that number one blows the extra chips away, so it's not running over its own chips. and number two is keeping the bit cool.
So what's up next? The side panels?
Next we'll see what we previously saw in terms of the big chunk of aluminum getting cut down into the blank, and then we'll see where the blanks are finished over here.
All right, Tim, so I see some progress. We're taking shape here. I'm seeing some similarities. This is bright, this is dull. Where are we at? What do we got?
So these are parts right now that are right out of the machine shop, the machine area we were just in. And if you can see, there's some light machine lines and everything else on this part. Now, if we were to anodize this part the way it is, there would be those lines can create a drip, and because the anodizing is an actual chemical process with charged fluid. So if any of these machine lines will show an imperfection. Okay, so what we do is we do a lot of hand finishing. We do a little bit of hand sanding and stuff like that in some critical areas. And then over here, you can hear them running in the background are our vibratory polishers. If you've ever seen like a gem polisher or something like that, they're vibratory polishers that shake the parts when they're on a rack. And then this part right here is ready to be sent out to be anodized. So you can see it's very smooth. It looks dull, but it's consistent is what the biggest part is.
For the novice, when you say anodize, is that what takes it from this to this?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you see the color change here, this part is a raw aluminum part. This part is hard coat anodized. We don't do anything but hard coat anodized parts. Hard coat anodizing is actually a penetrative process that's in it's in a controlled corrosion atmosphere. So this is no color added. This is just the natural color of the hard coat anodized. You see other parts we color black and stuff like that, but hard coat anodizing is the best protection you can have against saltwater environment. It's actually, I believe, the third hardest thing to diamond. So it's very abrasion resistant, very corrosion resistant, and creates a nice finish like this. So we've had a lot of luck. We've been making this platform of reels for over 15 years. We have commercial fishing ones in the islands and stuff like that. They come back, little fresh water and some woody wax, and they look brand new.
So where are we in the phase of production right now at the point in time that you're here? You're ready to go to anodizing.
So you know, these parts were made yesterday. Okay, they'll get shipped. Well, not shipped. They'll get trucked to our anodizer, which is also another local Pompano company. Certified Metal Finishing does all of our metal finishing work for that. Then they'll come back, and then they actually get tumbled another time in a rouge to kind of polish the outside, make it shiny, and then they go to be assembled.
Is that where we're headed next?
That's where we're headed next. Is over to the assembly area.
Assembly line coming up. All right, Tim, so those big, giant machines in that room where we started were super cool and fascinating. But I think this might be my favorite place because I think I heard you say this is like final assembly, which means we're one step closer to actually being able to take one of these things out on the ocean once it leaves here, goes to your local tackle shop, get her all spooled up, which we're going to show you a little later in the video, but this is final assembly, right? Yeah, so this is where we take, you know, all of our sub-assemblies, our case, and actually the cases before they come to final assembly here, there's some pre-assembly, you know, installing wire strain reliefs, some seals and stuff like that. Our reels are all sealed, you know, hermetically sealed. So right here, Charles will be doing the final assembly, putting all the shafts in, bearings, and gears. You know, this is where he puts the motor in. You know, a couple cool things about our stuff is these motors, you know, we don't wind motors here in our shop, but our motors are made specifically for us. This isn't an off-the-shelf motor or anything like that, but they're made in the United States, which is kind of a cool thing, you know. So even the stuff that we don't make in-house, we're making from domestic vendors. I'm sensing a made in America theme. Incredibly, you know, and we spend more money for some stuff to keep it that way. Sign me up. Sign me up. And it's you know, but
the biggest thing is, number one, the biggest thing is accountability. So we have a very tight control of our supply chain. If I have a motor issue, I can call the president of the motor company and he can walk out back and fix it.
Right.
Same way we have the level of accountability here, where if we have a machining problem or we have a tolerance problem or something like that, it gets fixed instantly.
Right.
But the good thing is we have a lot of different sets of hands that all have a lot of experience that put their hands on the equipment before it leaves the door here.
Sure.
So Charles will assemble this, and he'll actually do a pre-test here before it goes in the final testing and testing and cleaning room. So the reels get tested at least twice before they ever leave the door.
That's what I was just about to ask. So this looks similar to like what I would see if you were doing line testing in a tackle
yeah,
shop.
So this is a load cell, and you'll see one in the other room in the finishing room where Eric touches every single reel before it goes out of here and tests it. So we have a consistency, and he's tested now 12,000 electric reels. Aside from when he's on vacation, then I get to test it. So
Eric, I feel for you, buddy. That's a lot of reels to test.
But he's got the feel for it, and in terms of consistency, he's been the guy. Okay, well these drags aren't the best. We need to do something about it, or this, So if there's adjustments to be made, he's got the ear and the feel for it. That everyone that's gone out the door, he's touched.
Okay.
So each one of the assembly guys will come over, guys and gals, will come over and test the reel here, test it to make sure that the drag's smooth, to make sure that it pulls hard enough. So every one of our reels has a certain spec for how hard it needs to pull, full. Mm-hmm. Okay, all of them are over 100 pounds. Our 24-volt reels are over 150 pounds. And they'll test the smoothness of the drag, the arc of the drag curve and stuff like that, test it for if the drag seems sticky or something like that. So they'll troubleshoot a lot of it before it goes in the final room with Eric. So these guys have a great feel for all of that stuff and a great feel for the fit and things like that go into each one of these. Perfect. But they're all assembled by hand. Each one of these at the end of it has a sticker that's got the assemblyman's name on it, serial numbers of the motor, serial number of the reel, all this stuff. So we keep data on absolutely everything that goes into it. So if we identify a manufacturing problem, we can
go right to the source.
We can go right to the source of what it is down the whole supply chain.
Wow, impressive.
Yep.
So right here, in terms of final assembly, are we 90% there in the process?
Yeah. Once it leaves here, we're 95% done. And there's some other things that don't get done. All of our electrical assembly we do in-house, putting these buttons on, installing the control boards, keeping things neat and clean, are things we do in another room.
Perfect.
That's, once Charles is done with it here, it's 95% of the way there. As long as it gets Eric's seal of approval, it gets cleaned and then we put it in a box. But we'll show you that next.
Eric, we're coming to see you. All right, guys, so you wanted to meet Eric? Here he is.
So we just left from where we did our assembly work, and the reel was populated and preliminarily tested. Once it's done with that, it comes in here, and then Eric puts it through its final wear and tear paces, wears the reel in, make sure there's no flaws or anything. Then it's vacuum tested, and then it comes for cleaning, and then it gets distributed to the dealer. But Eric has his hands on the product to get its final okay and do the testing, which he's going to show you here.
So you have the final say, Eric.
Yes.
And that's big responsibility.
Oh, I can handle it. No problem.
I'm pretty sure. They tell me that you've seen about 12,000 of these?
Yeah, probably at least that. Between repairs and other needs over the course of time, yes, I've been involved with this project since the start.
Obviously, we know each other going way back.
Yep.
But I've never seen you in this capacity, so show us what's happening back here.
Okay, once we have a reel that's finished by the guys who put them together here, we'll pull them off the rack and we go ahead and set them up on our test stand. Basically, what we're looking at is how hard the reel will pull, how consistent the drag is. We measure voltage, we'll measure the amp draw of the reel, and we basically get a good feel for how the reel sets up so that everyone is fairly the same as they're being gone through the process. So we'll take a reel, verify that everything's set up, go through, verify if it has a clicker, that the clicker's working. At the same time, we're verifying the counter is working. And then we go ahead and the first thing we'll do on a 24-volt reel is we run it to max. We like to verify that we're going to see a decent pull on this reel before we get too far into it. Turn it on, verify it's running. And this is our testers. That's basically in pounds, so showing how hard the reel is pulling. We'll max it out. Usually you would see at least about 150 pounds or so just to set it up. There we are, about 156, so that's good. Everything's working fine, so we go back and we basically set it. Basically, once the reel has been set and we're happy with the way the reel's performed, it comes over to here where we'll take it and we'll put a vacuum on it. So basically we'll put a negative pressure into there, and then once we've set the negative pressure, and then we'll fill it with nitrogen. We let it hold for about 15 to 20 minutes and verify that we have a positive pressure in here and that there's no leaks going on the reel. This way we know the reel's completely sealed, and inside is a nitrogen environment, so it's very dry inside. You don't have to worry about it. You're taking it obviously from outside to inside. If you're going from a humid environment to a dry environment, you don't get any condensation inside the reel.
All right, Tim, so we're here. We have arrived. What I see behind me is a shelf full of very happy customers.
Yep. So
soon to be customers. These are headed to dealerships.
So all these have just been cleaned. We have a cleaning process that we do, and hand clean, hand wax all of them, wrap them up all nice and tight. These will go in boxes and get shipped to our dealers all over the country, all over the world, really. Yeah, I mean these will all be out of the building by the end of the day. And so that's kind of the final step. Cleaned, they have plugs on them, everything coated with dielectric grease, all fine and dandy, got Eric's thumbs up, and ready to go in the box and go out to our dealership network.
Awesome. And so as I told you guys at the start of the video, super pumped. I have one of the SV-1200 reels that I've been saving some shekels for a long time that's headed to Bobby Boyle's shop, and we're gonna take you there next, RJ Boyle Studios, to show you the next phase after the manufacturing side, how we get this thing prepped and ready, whether you want to go out and chase daytime swordfish for it, wahoos, deep drop for, anything in the Bahamas, golden tiles, rosies, all that kind of stuff. Obviously it's a very versatile reel. I'm a longtime customer of one of the original S1200 reels. I don't know, I've probably owned that thing for 8 or 10 years. Never, ever once had an issue with it. So I'm looking forward to experiencing this new technology, the variable speed reel with the SV-1200. So stay tuned, that's coming next in the video. But I got a surprise for you.
Okay.
So, to me, it's all about the proof is in the performance, right? So I hope you guys have learned and enjoyed this video. I'm fascinated by the process of what goes into making the finest electric reel on the market. And as we've said, American made at that, right? Bravo. But let's put this thing to the test. And what better way to put it to the test than to bring a resident expert along with me on the inaugural trip of that SV-1200. So what I didn't tell you about this guy is not only is he a fantastic engineer, not only is he very hands-on, involved, and knowledgeable about all this product that we're talking about, he's one hell of a good daytime sword fisherman. Me, I'm average. I don't do it a lot. So I'd rather bring a guy along. Tim, will you join me for the first trip?
Let's have at it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
for the
dust it off.
first trip, and let's have Tim join us. We're going to get out there on the sword grounds, and we're going to have him also showcase some of the features of this new SV-1200 reel and what makes it obviously so advantageous for the different types of fishing that we're going to do. So we will see you on the rip. Daytime swordfish on the menu, and who knows whatever else.
Let's go for it.
Thank you, buddy.
I'd love to. Thanks.